What? That one's.
Okay. Here we go. Hello.
Hey, babe.
Hey. Hey, you guys. We are actually coming to you live today for episode 28 of Calls with Paul.
Yeah.
And today we are in the Compass office, and we're still all getting settled in, which is why the walls are very starkly white behind us. But we wore black and white today to represent.
I match.
Yeah. So we wanted to, today for episode 28, we wanted to talk a little bit about investing in Austin real estate. You're getting a ton of investment inquiries.
Yeah, we are. We're getting a lot of people from California and really all across the country, but mostly California, who are frustrated. In fact, I had a call just a little while ago with a really sweet couple who were looking to buy a multifamily here in Austin, or anything really that cash flows. And they're coming in from California, and we're getting a lot of that. It's just a normal, like I have this conversation probably 3 or 4 times a week with people.
What do you think's driving that?
From what I hear is that people can't cash flow at all in California. We don't cash flow here much. It's hard to find good cash flow properties, but
we'll dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. But I think there's frustration and that it's harder to invest in other places than here, which I found surprising because it's kind of hard here.
Yeah, it's funny to me because we talk about our rates of appreciation and how we're having affordability issues. Yet when you look at more expensive parts of the country, we're still a pretty good value, and people still want to invest in Austin, right?
Every time I think we're really expensive, somebody comes into town and tells me we're not.
teaches you otherwise.
Yeah.
And just to remember, you do a lot of investments, but that's not all you do. You really also, your main focus has always been to help sellers and buyers with their Central Austin properties. But investments are certainly part of that, and you have a lot of clients that have bought and sold with you that then come back to you to build their investment portfolio. I can think of one who's probably bought 10 or so properties with you.
Yeah. He's
and sitting in a good place now because of all the things that were bought early on, and I'm just letting the market do the work and help him appreciate it.
He's doing very well. He's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit also about what happened yesterday in the Austin. Well, not just Austin, but nationally with the real estate market.
Yeah, so yesterday the Federal Reserve Chairman and the board, I guess they all had to approve of it, but they dropped rates by 5% in an emergency rate.
5% or 0.5?
0.5.
Yeah. There's a big difference.
Sorry, it'd be negative. It'd be like borrow money and let me pay you.
It's free.
No, they dropped it 0.5 point, which is a pretty big move. It's the first emergency rate cut since 2008, which has stocks really spiraling. But I think what really happened is this guy, last year we looked like we were headed towards a recession, and he got out ahead of it and lowered rates to make that happen. So
everybody kept thinking we were going to have a recession, and we never did. And a lot of it was attributable to his proactive, the Fed chairman's proactive efforts to drop those rates.
I think he's just being proactive now, but I think the Dow sees it as, oh gosh, it's going to be 2008 all over again. So I think there's a misunderstanding. Look for the Dow to bounce. You heard it right here first.
Well, interesting.
Just kidding.
Well, it's a significant enough difference that when I read the headline, the very first thing I did is that I went and I pulled out our mortgage statement for our investment properties and our primary residence, and I was like, okay, we've got one that's at 4.5%.
Yep.
Is that right? 4 point something.
We're changing that.
And we've got one at 3.99, and so we reached out to our one of our lender friends this morning, Max Lehman. Y'all should totally talk to Max.
Yo, Max.
And he ran some quick numbers. It was like, yeah, you totally should refi right now because it would save us some money, right?
Yeah. He thinks our payment will go down pretty
even
nice.
The one at 3.99, we're looking at refining that one as well. So that's definitely good news. So what does that rate drop do to this investment issue?
Well, it does a couple of things. You can think of it in a bunch of different ways, but money got cheaper. So everybody that has a home on the market right now, just effectively from a buyer perspective, from a monthly payment, what you can afford perspective, just got a price reduction without actually having to reduce your price. So that's great for sellers out there. For buyers, it's great too because money got less expensive. And the beautiful thing about real estate and investment is how little money you can put in and how much you can leverage. So the more money you can leverage, the better you do over time. So it does that.
That's cool.
Yeah, makes money easier.
So tell us a little bit then about Austin. Austin is, the little keep Austin weird part of Texas, and it's a little bit different than other parts of the nation. I think people tend to think about real estate and they start throwing out words like cap rate and cash flow. And
yeah.
How does that apply to Austin? Does it apply to Austin?
Well, it has in the past, and people used to kind of complicate real estate a little bit. Cap rate is a capitalization rate, and what it is it's a numeric number that shows how hard your money's working for you. In Austin, we generally see anywhere from like 3 to 7% cap rates, but I tend to not look at that because everybody has their own formula. If you're an Excel sheet person, you probably have an Excel sheet built in. But what I'd really focus on is, what would your payment be with 20% down, and what would the rents be, and what's that difference?
Do you get very much cash flow in Austin?
Generally, no. Like, so for single-family residences, when you buy it, unless you buy way out, like past Anderson Mill on the north, or maybe Buda to the south, buying in the heart of the city, you're really not going to get cash flow. It usually takes people 3 to 5 years to catch up to. They make a purchase and they may sit in it for a period of time, like a primary residence, sit in it for a period of time, and then maybe it can pay for itself.
So it doesn't mean you're not going to cash flow eventually. It just means that you're probably not going to find a property that's available for sale that cash flows right away.
Right.
Not that you won't, but they're just, those opportunities are rare.
It's hard to find when you're putting 20% down. Of course, the more you put down, the easier you get to cash flow, right? But,
cool.
But all of my numbers are run on 20%, although you could get a way better rate at 25% down.
So then what is the stuff that you look at when you're looking at investment properties in Austin?
Like my favorite investment properties do a couple of things. One, they're in great areas that we would live in if we needed to, right?
Okay. What define a great area? That's such a subjective term.
It really is. So for me, it's mostly central Austin, kind of going up the tech corridor, a little bit of Round Rock, like nice areas that have appreciated over time and are likely to continue to appreciate.
Does that include places that have well-regarded, well-ranked schools?
Yeah.
Do schools factor into that? Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, they don't, for the purposes of investment properties, like, it's great if they have good schools because I think you get to keep your tenants longer, right? Like we want that so that you minimize your turn. But if they don't have good schools, we want to at least have the appreciation side working for us.
And what kind of appreciation should people expect in Austin?
So when you do your Excel sheet, I want you to plug in 3%. Although we've been
That's
seeing
conservative.
It's super conservative. I want you happy, not sad.
I've seen a lot. I mean, I just know because we run numbers on different neighborhoods, and we see some neighborhoods that are seeing
10%,
much higher rates of appreciation. I guess it's better to hedge your bets.
I just don't want you banking on that. Like that to me is maybe it does continue on forever. I don't know, but I ask people with Excel sheets and formulas to plug in 3%. 4% is the national average.
Okay.
If you evened it all out over time, you'd see 4% appreciation. But I suggest plugging in 3.
Okay. So you mentioned a tenant. So a lot of times if you've got an investment property, you're looking at something that has a tenant occupant that helps you pay your mortgage, which is one of the cool thing about investments is that tenant's paying you money, which then you can apply to help cover the cost of owning that property.
Yep.
But lately, I've seen you send some things out to folks about owner-occupied properties, also with tenants. And
yeah, so that this gets really exciting for people who want to be able to buy a place. Like from time to time, we'll see a duplex or even a fourplex. And what a lot of people don't know is you can go in as a primary purchaser and buy that, and let's say it's a fourplex, and live in one side of it, and then let the other 3 sides pay your mortgage, and maybe even give you a little bit of cash.
That's pretty exciting.
Which is pretty neat. But you got to qualify for it and all that stuff. But
cool.
We had one not long ago where it looked like you could put like $40,000 down, and you could live for, I think it was like $600 a month, which really excited me.
Yeah, in Austin for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we'd fit in a little
my parents in East Texas would still think $600 a month is crazy.
Right.
But in Austin, that's pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about, because I know you're really watching the investment market very closely in Austin. Tell us, what are you seeing as a good deal? Like, what kind of properties are they? How long are they staying on the market? What are you factoring in when you reach out to someone and say that this is worth looking at? What are you seeing?
It'll go pretty fast if it so what I'm really tracking are properties that pay for themselves and how they do. So when we have one that we get real excited about, it usually sits on the market for less than a week. So it moves quickly.
Okay.
Like any time you can have an investment that pays for itself, that's pretty exciting. And then you get to have the leverage of borrowing all that money and the appreciation for when you exit. So
but that's the rare, the ones that pay for themselves.
Those are moving pretty quickly, and we're seeing them.
And are these duplexes, fourplexes? I know usually they're multifamily properties, but what are they mostly?
Mostly a duplex, and usually we see on the lower end you see $500,000 to $600,000. On the higher end, we see stuff in the $2 million.
And are these okay? Are these properties that need a lot of work? Are these properties that are in good condition? What are you finding?
It's just like the residential market with houses. They all come in different sizes and shapes and stuff. But if you can imagine a $500,000 to $600,000 duplex. It probably needs a little bit of help. It's had tenants living in there probably for a long time. You might even have tenants that are in there right then.
Okay.
It probably has some deferred maintenance and things to take care of over time.
Have you had people buy some that are kind of move-in ready though, that are?
Yeah. So recently we had a client buy a really nice one. It was move-in ready. It already had tenants, and they were rocking and rolling. It was in pretty good shape, but
How often are these coming with tenants? That would definitely, as an investor myself, that would play into it for me. Do I have to go find a tenant?
Sure.
Do I need to have a property manager, or is this coming locked and loaded and I'm ready to go?
Most of them have tenants.
Okay.
And some of them, the frustrating thing is like a lot of them want an offer before they let you see it.
I was going to mention that, and that's
really
crazy. I don't want to put something under contract before I get to go even look at it.
Well, you just put it out there, and then you can massage that deal later on.
Well, I know I've got an expert here on my side, so I know we'd find a way to maneuver it, but I just think that's frustrating. That requires a lot of work and effort on the part of the investor before you even get to get into the property.
It gives you a real shot at some false starts on the listing side. It's probably not it seems fair to the tenant and the seller, but
is this to disrupt to reduce the disruption to the tenant?
Right.
Seems like there's some different ways that could be handled.
There are.
So if you've got a multifamily property that you're wanting to unload, maybe we should talk to Paul, because you've got some other ways you could do it that are going to be more conducive to really weeding out real offers versus false offers, and still not upset your tenants.
You want to slow the roll on upsetting tenants, but you also want to have your property available to be shown.
Sure.
It's hard to make a buying decision if you can't see it.
I know there have been a lot that have gone multiple. They're going multiple their first day or two on the market.
Yep.
So if you send out one of these real estate emergencies,
when I send out the, I haven't quite come up with the.
But
that's the old name.
If you send it out, they need to. That's one. If you're sending it out, it's been vetted. You think it's a good deal, and people need to move fast.
Yep.
Not in a pressured way, right? But if you're ready to invest and you're serious about investing, you don't want to hem and haw, or frankly, you don't want to hem and haw about anything in the Austin market, because you're not going to get it.
Anything good is going to go fast. People are desperate for housing right now.
What was it? Housing's down 32%. Our available housing units, something like that.
Yeah, we have less than 2 months of availability, and multi-units are going quickly. There aren't really all that many in Austin. If you look at the map, most of them are central. A few are here and there on the outskirts, but not many.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, please.
So we've got this whole new code rewrite going on in Austin.
Boy, yeah.
And you've got transition zones, and the whole idea is to increase density and to increase affordable housing. And so there's a lot of speculation that you're going to see more multi-unit properties.
You will for sure. That'll come along. Most of it,
those will be new, right?
Yeah, they'll be brand new construction. If you want to, if you're here in Austin and you're watching and you want to get a look at what that's going to be like, I think you just need to go to the east side, and you'll see a whole bunch of what most developers are doing these days, are what I call AB units, or essentially duplexes that are getting split in half.
They're tearing down these little homes, and they're building 2 units
side by side.
Side by side.
And then they split them in half and call them condos.
Or Crestview, if you don't want to go to East Austin. I drove through Crestview the other day and
Yeah.
took a route I hadn't taken in a while, and it was really
It's
eye-opening. All these cute little mid-century bungalows are getting destroyed and replaced with these big boxes where you have shotgun driveways and
more density.
units.
More density is on the way. So like your land, if you own a single family home, just got worth more because like you're going to have more land use for it, which makes it a little bit more valuable.
For sure. So how do people go about, if they're interested in investing in the Austin market and taking advantage of our ongoing appreciation, maybe taking advantage of this interest rate cut and kind of jumping in and helping have real estate be part of your diverse portfolio? What do they need to do to source a property?
Or call me.
Yeah.
Yeah, or call your agent and have them be on it, and but make sure that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, if you have an agent, absolutely reach out and begin that conversation and start having that educational talk and start getting a feel for the market.
Yeah.
Let's
get out there and take a look at some things.
Sure.
It's a good place to start.
If you don't have an agent, I would suggest reaching out. Paul does some email updates on a real regular basis that we can share with you guys and add you to. There's no obligation. It just gives you a way of sort of staying plugged in and seeing what's going on. So if you have any interest, and I see my buddy John O'Brien is watching.
Nice.
And haven't talked to you in
John.
forever. I hope you're doing really well. So anyway, you guys reach out if you have any questions. You can always check us out at homesville.com, or you can drop a comment either on Facebook, or we're also live on Instagram. And if you're not looking to invest, but you know someone else who might be looking to invest, you can also share this with them and have them reach out. Paul loves this stuff,
I do.
and he loves talking about it. And there's no cost and no obligation to talk.
Well, and I'm real excited about retiring one day, and I think a lot of people are. Real estate, to me, like when I visit with people, is a really good, like painless way of going about building some wealth and making sure you
For sure.
get to retirement.
Cool. Well, thanks you guys for tuning in to episode 28 of Calls with Paul. 28. Yeah, we're approaching our 30s. So next week we will be back at noon on Wednesdays for Calls with Paul, and we hope to connect with you then. Check us out and stay connected.